Hello everyone, today I'll be going over part 1 of the Eagle's Inferno update in Centaura, which added a bunch of new stuff. New map, new guns, artillery the size of your This update is probably my favorite update to Centaura yet, even though it only added one map. The Kingdom of Aquila has historically proven to be very strong. It emerged sometime around the year 200 AD after the fall of the Libran Empire, among many other young, ambitious fragments of the empire. They spent much of their early history fighting religious wars with tribesmen who had not yet converted to Aquilanistranism, followed by a period of relative peace and prosperity. Later on, around the year 1300, Aquila undertook a new aggressive royal family and started to gradually expand and fought many wars with smaller neighboring kingdoms. Eventually, Aquila would come to border the mighty kingdoms of Cetus, Grusa, and Antares. Sometime in the 1670s, Aquila and Cetus would fight a minor war that lasted 3 years. 400,000 people died. The war started over disputes in the Okab range, mainly over silver mines. In the end, it was pretty much a draw. Cetus opted to sign a treaty with Aquila after seeing their military might, and thus the Person Treaty was signed. This treaty established a clear border between Aquila and Cetus and encouraged the two kingdoms to pursue closer economic and military ties with each other. Antares and Grusa had other plans though, trying to invade Aquila. In 1753, Vega, which had broken off from Grusa, launched a daring invasion into a much more powerful Aquila, which did see some success, but ultimately Vega crumbled under the test of time, as Aquila was able to keep supplying their military, whereas Vega was not. This resulted in the Treaty of Mainilova, which saw Aquila annex large swaths of land east of the Cygnus River, securing dominance in the region and weakening Vega severely. Antares would later try to attack Aquila in the 1790s, but this conflict ended briefly with an Aquilan victory. Aquila annexed some Antaran land and gained access to the the Libran Ocean, which led to great peace and prosperity for Aquila in the following century. In 1844, a peaceful revolution occurred in Aquila, which saw the Aquilan royal family become purely ceremonial, leading to a proper parliament and democratic government being installed the following year. In the 1850s and 60s, Antares began displaying aggression towards Aquila, mainly fueled by anger for Aquila taking some of their territory because Aquila was democratic. Antares felt this was influencing other nations to adopt democracy. This culminated in the Antares-Aquilan War of 1875. This war lasted a year and ended in Aquilan victory, earning Aquila's military the nickname of the Iron Army. This was because Aquila relied solely on patriotic volunteers for their military, and used no conscription. They were small in numbers, but were trained vigorously for up to a year and served for 5-year periods. In 1897, Aquila would begin construction on a massive system of forts called the Ring of Fire, which spanned all the way from their coastline on the Libran Ocean to the border with Columba. This would later prove to be a great challenge for Antares. So during the South Corvasaur, Aquila took in millions of Cetan refugees, provided lots of aid to the Cetan war machine, and even went as far as funding Cetan partisans after the war was over. By the time Cetus capitulated in May of 1912, Antares was already building up their military to invade Aquila. Antares invaded Aquila in September of 1912, and was met with fierce resistance for the first year. Antares had an especially hard time breaking through the Ring of Fire, which I'll talk about now. The Aquilan Ring of Fire had a genius design. Calvin Tau, the emperor of Antares at the time, remarked that Aquila was the strongest fort in the world. The Ring of Fire consisted of about 20 batteries and forts that were spaced on average about 50 miles apart from each other. These forts were extremely hard to attack head-on, and going between the forts was an even worse idea, because the massive Aquilan siege guns at these forts had just the right range to light up the entire area between them from both sides. Chief among these forts was the one at Roland's Prairie, which Antares attacked head-on twice, once in September and once in October. Antares' strategy of head-on attacks with little support simply wasn't working the way it had in previous wars. Towards the end of November of 1912, Antares made some shifts to their army doctrine, with more of an emphasis on long-range fighting. In early December, Antares attacked Roland's Prairie a third time. This time it was different, though. The Antarans had brought in massive railway guns that had longer range than the Aquilan fort's artillery. Along with this, they also brought in several dozen Zeppelins, with the Corvan Air Force also playing a part in the bombardment of the Ring of Fire. By March of 1913, Antares had successfully bombed their way through most of the Ring of Fire. In June, Antares cooked up a plan to burn the Aquilan woodlands. Get it? Cooked? Aquila's economy was heavily reliant on the lumber industry, as about 80% of their country was covered by forests. This was later named the Scorch. By the end of the burnings in early 1914, 40% of Aquila's ancient woodlands lay in ashes, severely damaging the Aquilan economy and the nation's morale. The Aquilan capital of Altair fell shortly thereafter in August of that year. Towards the end of the war, Antares started using a new and improved version of their mustard gas to deadly effect on the Aquilans who had not yet developed gas masks. The last Aquilan holdouts in the mountains were destroyed in March in 1915. Antares had just won a war with the most fortified nation on Centaura. Millions died. They would later go on to invade Vega, Grusa, and Columba in the next few years. Aquila was beaten down by Antares, and some wounds never healed. Aquila, with their prized iron army and ring of fire, was destroyed. The remains of their forts and batteries were left to rot for years. Aquila would have an incredibly hard time economically after Orion liberated them from Antares. Their force wouldn't fully grow back for centuries, and their population didn't bounce back until the 1990s. Aquila was one of Antares' first victims. There would be many more. Hey guys, I appreciate all of you supporting me so much. I'm so sorry to those of you who are expecting the Antares edit. I really should have backed up those files. I'll be releasing another lore video on Centaura soon. See ya. I hope you liked this video.